The video is intended for education and training of eye surgeon. Viewer discretion is advised, not recommended for children. Hello friends, I am Dr. Saurabh Patwardhan from Nandadeep Eye Hospital, PG Institute and FECO Training Center, and in this video I will be talking about a case where posterior capsule ruptured and we had to convert it to extracapsular surgery where the nucleus is delivered through the corneal incision. I want the beginners to know this technique well. So here is the case of the surgeon. Surgeon is a beginner and doing trench and divide in this grade 1 to 2 cataract, and you can see that surgeon has trenched it beautifully and you can already see the change in the glow. And now this is a time to divide, but what the surgeon is doing is surgeon is not still satisfied with the depth of the trench and continues to trench deeper. So this is a red flag. It should have been avoided. Right here the trench was much adequate before also, and divides the nucleus into two halves. I am not sure whether the trench was too deep and might have touched the posterior capsule, but able to divide it nicely and rotating the nucleus now and going for the division of the one heminucleus, doing the again trenching. The trench and divide method is the simplest of all, and what you need to know is where to stop. What is the adequate depth of the trench, that is the trick, and it can be judged quite easily. Now you can see here the depth is quite adequate and the surgeon should try to divide nucleus here, but again here the surgeon fails to understand that already the required depth is achieved and continues to trench in the deeper part of the nucleus and creates a hole in the posterior plate of the nucleus. So you can see that hole, that is an ominous sign, and let's see what happens next. So surgeon struggles to divide it, pushes the posterior capsule back. You can see the globe tilting away from the center, indicating that the probe was pushing the bag down, and now tries to rotate the nucleus, trying to divide the second heminucleus which was remaining, but the nucleus is now sinking. You can see the nucleus has tilted, you can see the other pole coming up now, and now the surgeon realizes that there is something wrong and definitely this was not the plan. This is the time when you have to train your mind to be calm, because there is always a way out even in complicated situation like this. Now the question here is how to take this nucleus out, whether the surgeon should remove through the scleral tunnel or corneal incision. Now surgeon is a beginner surgeon and not well versed with small incision cataract surgery, not well versed with scleral incision. So it's easier to learn the corneal incision and take out the nucleus. There is less endothelial damage even in beginners' hands with this technique, but disadvantage is that you have to suture the incision and there will be long post-operative course. There are higher chances of astigmatism when you take it out through the corneal incision. There are important tips which you must understand while taking the nucleus out through corneal incision. The incision should be large enough, so I generally use 1.5 times the size of the nucleus piece. So if you try to remove a 4 mm nucleus through 4 mm incision, you can use the sandwich technique, but for beginners there is a higher risk of developing endothelial damage here, and you may have massive corneal edema if you keep on maneuvering through the small incision. So best way is to make the incision large. So for 5 mm nucleus I will use 8 mm incision at least, and use sharp corneal scissor. You can see the orientation of scissor here, it's horizontal, and such cuts makes a very nice corneal incision which can be sutured well. Use plenty of dispersive OVD. Push the OVD from the deepest part behind the nucleus which is there, so the nuclear pieces come out. And always suture the incision before vitrectomy. You want a closed chamber while doing vitrectomy. This is a very common mistake done by many surgeons. If the incision is open during vitrectomy, there is a higher risk of choroidal detachment and suprachoroidal hemorrhage. So always close the anterior chamber, do a nice vitrectomy, and use the standard tips that I have already given in previous videos for vitrectomy. Use the highest available cut rate, bottle height of 60 centimeters, vacuum of 150-250, and avoid collapse of the anterior chamber during vitrectomy. Use cut IA mode for vitreous and IA cut for removal of the cortex. Now here I want to show another complication which may happen during anti-vitrectomy. You can see the surgeon is trying to remove this cortex from the periphery, but unfortunately the surgeon is holding the capsule. You can see the springy nature when that capsule is left. I think it goes back in a springy way, which doesn't happen with the cortex. So you should always be careful to understand whether you are holding the capsule or cortex. So cortex will have feathery margins. It will not be springy like in case of capsule here. So watch this particular part of the video very carefully and know when you are holding the capsule it behaves in this manner. And you can also see the sharp margins of the capsule, which is usually not seen with cortex, which has more of feathery margins. So just be careful with this. So we do not know whether this dialysis was there right from the beginning or whether it was created during the anti-vitrectomy, but you can cause this kind of complication during anti-vitrectomy. Diluted triamcinolone to look for any residual vitreous. Put intracameral myocoil or pilocarpine, and once the pupil constricts, look for the pupillary contour. You can see near the incision you may have some tags of vitreous. You can see the pupillary contour, there will be a notch, and once you release this tag, you cut the tag, you will find the pupil contour becomes more round. So always watch for the incision for the residual vitreous tags. And the plan here is to put a retropupillary iris claw IOL. As the bag is already compromised, the needles are weak, and you can watch my video on step-by-step guide on how to implant this retropupillary iris claw IOL. And this is the one claw enclaved. You can see the 10-0 nylon because the surgeon is avoiding the drop of the IOL here and using the 27 gauge cannula to enclave this iris claw IOL into the iris. You can see that once good notch is achieved, you can release the IOL. So after this we are going to suture the incision. Take your time to do nice suturing. Keep the sutures on tighter side because if you have loose sutures you cannot correct it later, but tighter sutures can be removed selectively later. Done a peripheral iridectomy, you can have a smaller one as compared to this. That is enough. This is to avoid any pupillary block. For more such videos, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and also visit our website phacotraining.org.in. Thank you so much.